What is up, guys? Welcome to Matt Evelo Outdoors. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Matt Evelo. A little bit about me. I am born and raised here in North Florida. My whole family still lives here. I did not grow up hunting. My dad was not a hunter. He liked to fish, and we loved baseball as a family, so that is what I did growing up, but I never had the opportunity to hunt. A couple years back, I wanted to try some new things in my life, and I decided hunting was going to be at the top of that list. So I got my first rifle, and I found someone to take me out hunting, and never going to do anything else at this point. When I shot my first buck, the feeling that you get, the adrenaline rush, the shakiness, the excitement, I can't find that anywhere else. And so I'm going to be hunting for the rest of my life, and my future kids, I will be teaching them to hunt. This is the first buck I ever shot about 3 years ago. Would have been a decent 7-point, had some points broken off. But I was very happy to take this deer. And I just kind of want to show you some of the other bucks that I've taken in the 3 years that I've hunted so far. And then we're going to talk a little bit about this upcoming season. So my first hunting lease that I ever got permission to hunt, I was writing letters. I was on the Onyx hunting app. I was writing letters to anybody that I thought their property looked like a good hunting place. And this is from a property that I got permission to hunt. She did not live here. It was only 6 acres, which is not a lot for hunting purposes, but it was a pretty good location. It was a pinch point. It bordered between 2 houses actually on each end of the 6 acres, and it went up against about 300 acres that someone else was hunting. But it was still a good location. This is the very first buck that I actually took from the 6-acre property. A little 7-point buck. I still remember the morning. It was like a cooler morning. A bunch of does came in right at light, and I was just sitting there and I was just admiring them, just admiring God's creations. And then I see this buck walking out. He had a big body, and I remember looking at him and I was like, dadgum, like, that is a big body deer. Not a big rack, but a big body. And so this was the first buck I ever took. It was with a crossbow during archery season 3 years ago. Just memories, man. Memories that I'm never going to forget. Last season, I had a pretty good season. I opened up with a 7-point opening morning of archery. I had not had this deer on camera at all, and I wake up, it's about 5 a.m. opening morning. I pull up my Bushnell app, and there's 5 bucks that were on camera that night. Never seen them before. All the bucks were bigger than this one. And I was like, oh man, this is going to be a great opening morning. But then I tried to temper my expectations because I was like, I hadn't seen them at all during the off season. They just come in opening morning to eat, and I figured they're just going to move on. They're just passing through. And so I was thinking, I'll shoot a doe or something, first morning out. And I remember sitting there about 20 minutes away from shooting light, and I hear a bunch of deer moving in, and I said, I bet those are the bucks. And as we approached shooting light, 4 of the 5 deer started walking away. I could see their shadowy figures going off into the distance, and this buck stayed a little too long. And so as soon as I was able to see and it was legal shooting light, I took the 7-point. That was an exciting morning. First time I'd ever gotten a deer on opening morning. I will never forget that. The second deer I took that season was also a very interesting story. It is a tall 6-point right here. I got to the stand after work, and it was about an hour left of light, and I didn't think I was going to see any deer, quite frankly. And I got up in the stand. I hadn't even gotten situated yet. I'm putting my backpack down, and I hear rustling behind me, and I'm thinking, oh, it's just squirrels. There's a ton of squirrels on the 6 acres. And I didn't think anything of it, and I kept hearing it. And I was like, Matt, you should probably look behind you just to see. And so I look behind me, and what do you know? It's this tall 6-point, and he's just like slowly working his way in. Within 5 minutes of me getting in my stand, he's laying dead 20 yards away. I will never forget that. That was the most crazy hunt I've ever had, how fast it happened. I hardly had time to get in the stand, and I take a buck. My last buck of last season was a nice 8-point buck, which I'll show you the photo of in a minute. I don't have him here right now because he's at a taxidermist getting shoulder mounted. But I'm going to tell you the story. So it was December 3rd of 2022, right at the end of rut. And I remember getting up in the stand. There was a 6-point that was running around. I could tell that he's could smell some hot does, and had half a mind maybe just to go ahead and take him, but I said no, Matt. He's 6 point. He'll grow for next season. And so I was just kind of watching him run around in the distance, and then I see two does running in at me from the distance, and I'm thinking that's weird. I'd never experienced a buck actually chasing a doe before, and so I was like, why are they running like that? And so they run in and they stop probably 15 yards to my right, and they get a little corn, and then they start walking off. And I was like, well, what's chasing them? And I look off into the distance, and I see a rack coming in, and my heart starts hammering. And it's a nice 8 point. It's not huge by any means, but it was a very symmetrical, nice 8 point. And he is grunting his head off right on their tail. And so I'm shaking at this point. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is insane. And I find a point, and I slowly shift, get my gun set up. And I knew he was going to take the same path, because it's the same path the does took. And there he comes, right behind this tree, comes out on the other side where I'm aimed at, and I give him a little meh, and he stops, looks up at me, and just blasts him. He went about 60 yards. I had a friend come out and bring a dog because he was trying to get him some practice for tracking deer. But that was literally the most exciting hunt of my life, how he came in chasing those does and everything. I can't wait to get him back from being shoulder mounted. So this season I have really been hitting the ground hard in terms of trying to find some more property to hunt. The first 3 years I've had the 6 acres, and don't get me wrong, it's been great. I take a couple bucks each season off of it. Nothing crazy in terms of size, but I'm still grateful for it. It's meat in the freezer and for my family and friends. This season I really, I pulled up the onX hunting app, and I went hard on the letters. For those of you that are looking for property to hunt and you're not figuring out a way to find that property, open up your onX app, buy the membership so you can see the property records and property lines, and start looking for land in your area that you think might be like a good area to hunt, and then write them a letter. Introduce yourself, tell them who you are, like, so they can trust you and know that you're a trustworthy person, and offer them something for them to let you hunt that property. Whether that is sharing the meat, paying the property taxes, paying a leasing fee, whatever the case is, majority of the time, you're not going to get an answer back. They're not going to bother writing you. They're not going to bother calling you. You just get ghosted. You sometimes do get phone calls where they say, I appreciate the letter, but no thanks. But every now and then you get the letter that they say yes. So this season I am set up pretty nicely to have a really good hunting season. Not only do I have my 6 acres, I have another 21 acres that I'm leasing from a gentleman here, and it is a pretty good location. We're about to go show you this property, but it backs up to about 150 acres of plotted pines. Not many people hunting this specific area, and I have heard from the person that owned the land before the current owner. When they hunted there were some good bucks in the area. I know when rut is. I'm set up for this season, and I'm trying to get this lease ready. I have another 19 acres further south from Tallahassee. Very sweet lady gave me permission to hunt this land. I have not been out there yet to set up cameras or anything like that, but it's going to be another property on top of the 21 acres and the 6 acres. And I have a 4th property in the works right now. It's 20 acres that backs up to about 150 acres of non-huntable public land. It looks like a pretty good location on the map. I've talked to people that have hunted in the area, and they said there's some really good bucks in the area. I'm just trying to coordinate what exactly they want for me to be able to hunt that land, but it's looking pretty promising. So I have potentially 4 properties, confirmed 3 properties that I'm going to be hunting this year. So this is looking like it could be my best hunting season yet. Now, you never know. Hunting, it's not a for sure thing. You can have the best property in the world, and you might never have your target bucks come out. But I'm blessed to just be for the opportunity to be able to hunt these properties in the first place, and that these people were kind enough to let me hunt the properties. So now I want to go show you the main lease that we're going to be hunting. It's the 21 acres that's up to the plotted pines that nobody hunts. Let's go take a look at this property. Alright guys, we just got here to the main lease that I'm going to be hunting this season. Got corn, soybeans, black oil, sunflower seeds, molasses in the back of the truck that I'm going to be putting out here. It's been keeping the deer come in every day, throughout the day. I'll get random pictures at
2 o'clock, it's 100 degrees outside, and these deer are out here chowing down. But I do want to show you around the lease a little bit. There's a couple of different areas here actually that I would be able to hunt. It's 20 acres. It's bordering about 130 acres of plotted pines, and nobody's hunting that 130 acres. So the deer are not very pressured here, which I'm hoping is going to pay off this season. I have not had anything big show up yet, but it is only mid-August. Archery does not even open for another month, and so I'm thinking when it gets closer to archery season, especially closer to rut in November, those bigger deer are they're gonna start showing up. But we are gonna be putting a food plot in at the main location that I'm at right now. It's right in the middle of the lease, nice open area. It's like a little bit of a field. Already have a feeder out here, but we've just been having such a hot and dry summer here in Florida. I have not wanted to put a food plot in yet because I don't want to till and plant and then it doesn't take and I have to redo it. So I've been waiting for you know, a little bit change in the weather when we're gonna have like like a wet week somewhere, so I can get this planted and so it'll start growing the way it needs to grow. But let's get out here, let's put this corn out. It's about, let's see what time it is. It's about 5:53 in the afternoon. I've had deer coming out around this time as well, so I don't want to stay in here too long. But I do want to kind of show you guys what we're working with here. So let's get out of the truck and let's go take a look. All right, so first things first, this is going to be the main food plot area. For archery season, I'm going to be setting up a little closer. I'm going to be putting a blind right in here. It's about 30 yards away from where the feeder is. I'm going to clear some of this out. It's going to go right between the brush here. It's going to be a perfect spot, but it's going to be a 30-yard shot. I'm not going to do a plot the whole area. What I'm walking in right now, this is kind of low lying. It's very wet right now. We just had a lot of rain in today, but once you get right here, this is all raised. So probably about right here, all the way to the feeder back there. This is all going to be a food plot, this whole area. Just need to give it a couple more weeks before I till it and plant. But it's going to be a pretty good location, I think, overall. This is, again, right in the middle of the property. Go further back into here, there is a swamp back there. There is another area that I could actually put a food plot in further back in the property as well, but it is kind of low lying as well. So I'm not sure if I will or not. I'm gonna put a stand back there still, probably a feeder, but this is gonna be the main area I'm gonna be sitting this season. It's just, I mean, just look at it. It's such a beautiful spot. And when it comes time for gun season, I'm actually gonna be sitting way back here. You can probably see the stand. Probably about 110, 120 yards away. And it's just like the perfect location for a stand as well. There's the overhanging branches right here, which kind of help mask me from where the deer are going to be standing out there. And then the stand is right there. Once I'm up, that's about 18 feet up. The branches kind of hide me. It's going to be shady most of the day. I won't ever have the sun behind me or nothing like that. And it's on the south end of the property. And here in Florida, we don't really get south winds, usually like north, northeast, northwest. So the wind should never be coming from behind me where the deer are gonna be able to smell me. We were at the lease about 20 minutes ago putting that corn out, and the deer are already coming in, which is crazy to me. You can see right here, it's 6:01, putting that corn out right there, and then 6:21, 20 minutes later, you can see the deer head, and then they just slowly, more and more of them are coming in. You can see right here, there's like a little baby deer out there, kind of late in the year for that. I mean, it's mid-August. They should have been done well before then. And then there's also the 7-point buck in there. He's honestly probably not going to be a shooter this season. He's not anything impressive. He's young, 2 years old maybe. But it is fun just to be able to see like the bucks in general. You can see him right there. It's hard to tell from the phone and the camera, but a little 7-point buck, bunch of does. Like I said, as we get closer to rut, I truly do believe that there are going to be some bigger bucks that are going to be coming in here, based on what I've been told by people that have hunted this general area and even this property when they owned it in the past. So I'm very excited for the season. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I will be bringing you another episode just showing some progress on the food plot once I get it put in, as well as the other properties and what we're going to be working with this season, as well as any footage or pictures of potentially bigger deer that are going to come into the area at the main lease. But I do appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll see you guys next episode. Have a good night.